everybody? It is your boy, Corey, with Corey's Cave Chatter, and
James T. Martin
probably
in the second seat.
one of my number one guests so far. He's back again. We're going to talk some stuff.
It usually works out.
We're going to talk a bunch of stuff, honestly. Shit that people need to be talking about. Him and I might disagree on some points, but that's fine.
Oh, God, I hope so.
We'll see. So, what do you like to speak about today, sir?
Well, I've been following what's happening with Patreon quite a bit, and I think it's...
Hold on, before we get into that, for people that don't know what Patreon is, go ahead and explain it. Just
Patreon is a way that an artist of any kind, a creator, can, on YouTube or any other platform, can arrange for people to give them a monthly payment, $10, $20, $5, so that they'll have a regular income. And then a lot of my friends on Jackson Square, that people that make visual art, are able to, if someone gives you $50 a month for a year, and then you sell them a big painting when they decide that's what they want. So they build up a little credit.
So in other words, it might be $10, $20, but it's still a monthly income to some people.
It's a great business model.
You know,
I'm glad they're out.
It really is, because like I listen to a lot of podcasters and they're supported by their Patreon. They keep making videos because they have a Patreon. People like you get 10,000 people donating $5 a month. That shit adds up. You know, like you're good. So.
Yeah, so, but Patreon has been misbehaving because they just decide to cancel people sometimes because they don't like their politics. And it's a breach of contract. And so they've gotten in a lot of trouble. And they're right now they are facing a big financial punishment because of that. Because one guy that they canceled, Owen Benjamin, figured out that if the people that were supporting him, if they sued Patreon, it would cost each individual to sue them $250, but Patreon would have to put down right away somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for each case. And that's just because their terms of service were not very well thought out. And we could go into more detail, but that's really what you have to know is that so Owen Benjamin had 100 people that sued Patreon, and suddenly Patreon had to pay out something like $1 million. And they tried to stop it through the courts, but the court said no. And that was just like 3 days ago. The court said, no, you're going to have to go with the terms of service that you you can't get out of making those payments. And then Sargon of Akkad got kind of like, Owen Benjamin put out a shout out to Sargon of Akkad, who this also happened to Sargon. And Sargon had thousands of people. And so if each of those people that were Sargon patrons, if they each pay $250 to sue, it's going to cost Patreon millions of dollars, and they might just go bankrupt. They could go bankrupt in a matter of weeks. So if you're on Patreon, you might want to look at Subscribestar. You might want to look at some alternatives to Patreon because they are under the gun. The guillotine blade is falling.
So, this isn't directly related, but this is going to be a good one. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump banning TikTok from the U.S.?
Well, I think that it's true that China, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, has a stranglehold on any business that is based in China.
It's a Chinese app. That's
and
if you didn't know that, ladies and gentlemen,
TikTok,
I'm sure you did.
It's a Chinese company.
Some of these people don't.
Yeah,
it's a Chinese app. It's not Facebook. It's not MySpace.
Whatever
it's
digital
a Chinese app.
If you ever take a picture, if TikTok can control your camera,
they got it.
Then Xi Jinping can look at your camera whenever he wants.
They got it, dude. Yeah. And people are trying to.
They can turn on the microphone. Xi Jinping can turn on the microphone in your bedroom while you are, torturing your cat or whatever crazy shit you want to do. Don't torture your cat. But,
no, please.
But whatever you're doing, they can literally turn on the microphone on your phone. They can turn on the camera on your phone. They can look at every keystroke, every text message, depending on their, hacking ability, which I'm sure is formidable. So, TikTok, yeah. So, and the thing is, if you're a Chinese company, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, owns the company, and if the CCP asks for data, there's nothing stopping them from getting it. The TikTok must turn it over,
dude. Yeah,
and so that's what it comes down to is 100 million TikTok users in the United States.
Dude,
are providing 100 million points where the Chinese Communist Party has has an entry to whatever information they can get.
And as far as we know, they can keep that to the end of time. They can keep your TikTok dance and shit. I feel like I'm getting really conspiracy right now, but I feel like the TikTok dances, whatever, they look stupid. I feel like they might be like censors for like maybe not. It
wouldn't scare me if they saw the ridiculous.
They're all like this. They're all like geometrical fucking.
Well, I think
who started that shit?
I think the things to think about
fucking ridiculous
are your location data, your banking information,
where you
your
are,
purchasing information, what your credit card number,
That's all. They got all that.
And in the text with your girlfriend about whatever.
They got all
torturing cats.
They got all.
Don't do that. Don't torture cats. But if you do, the Chinese Communist Party will have that over.
Yeah, CCP's
They'll be able to be like cat torturer.
I have another question for you. So you are not prolific on Reddit, right? You're not.
I'm familiar with the site, but I
don't have a fucking account. You don't post. You don't.
No, I gave up most. I do a little Instagram, but
fine.
I gave it up after the last presidential election. I just realized that it was just bad. Bad for me.
It did kind of get bad. I've just been addicted to it since like 2012, unfortunately. But yeah, it's went down, and it went like you said, 2016. It started going down, but recently there's been 10 Cent. Is that the company? You know the company?
Chinese company?
Yeah, the Chinese company. They invested, I want to say, $100 million into Reddit. And now, if you post anything that's against the agenda on Reddit, it gets deleted.
Yeah.
It gets removed. And a lot of people in the Reddit community, they think, or we all think, that they're paying off moderators to like have moderation privileges to ban shit they don't like, which is it's terrifying.
And it's not just Reddit. What about the National Basketball Association, the NBA?
Oh, what about NFL?
I would say that they're both compromised, but the NBA has
NBA is worse.
NBA's like got the cock all the way down the throat. Like the Chinese cock all the way down. If that's kind of a funny thing to say. But.
NBA.
But yeah, all the way down into the stomach.
Yeah.
And it's so.
You're not wrong about that.
And just to think
why
about,
is this happening though?
And the NBA's out there. They're like, oh, Black Lives Matter, and yet the Uyghur Muslim population.
Eager.
Yeah, however you pronounce it.
I think it's eager.
And
could be wrong.
Millions of people in concentration camps, getting their organs harvested, just treated like
they're
complete
Muslims.
Human garbage, just a resource to exploit entirely, to the point of we're just going to take your organ and then throw your body,
or
to the pigs or something,
or you're going to make iPhones or Nikes.
The abuse is just it goes beyond, so far beyond.
And there's fucking literal pictures of it.
Yeah.
There's pictures of the abuse online.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to think that it's real. And it's a lot more real to me.
It is fucking real,
Or let's just say
dude.
that the scale is so much greater than a few dozen murders by the police, or even hundreds.
We don't have to bring that into it, man.
Yeah, but the NBA is out there saying Black Lives Matter, except if you're a Uyghur Muslim, in which case put millions of them in concentration camps, and we don't give a shit.
Yeah, but Black Lives Matter is different than... It shouldn't be, but it is. It's different. It's a different movement. That's the way I feel about it.
I mean, like any extreme position, it's just so obviously a compromise. That's not. What do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? When you say something, it's a hypocrisy. Like any extreme position, you're gonna fall into a hypocrisy.
I think people just see China as such a powerful, rich ass fucking
the Chinese market for the NBA is $5 billion a year.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I feel like Americans see that.
Than the
Hold on, let me talk and I'll let you talk. I feel like Americans, I mean, I hate to lie or I hate to tell the truth, but we're a bunch of capitalist motherfuckers, and people, the bitches and the motherfuckers that want to argue against capitalism, they're the ones out there buying all the expensive shit. They're the ones buying the fucking cars, getting massive loans, fucking running up credit cards. So fuck you about your capital.
Using their iPhones.
Yeah,
made by Chinese slaves.
Exactly.
To complain about.
I mean, I got
police brutality.
I got $100 phone. This bitch works just as fast.
And I think that there is always a real problem with police brutality. That is a real thing.
Of course. I've seen it more now than ever. Now that it's been brought to light, thankfully, now that people are addressing it, maybe, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think some of these fucking cops that think they can just do whatever, because I feel like, all right, let me put it this way. I'm going to sum it up, and I'm never going to fucking touch on the subject again. I think this was like a club after high school where dudes that got fucked with, and they just never, they had some kind of fucking weird personality disorder or something, and they found out they can enter this club. Sorry, I hit the mic. They found out they can enter this club, and it's with other people that felt the same way. It's like football players or cheerleaders or the band or anyone they meet. It's human interaction. So after high school this happened, they felt like, well, high school fucking sucked. I never fucking clicked with anyone. I got bullied. So I'm going to become a cop. And then they meet other people that felt the same way, and they get aggressive, and they share these shitty stories with each other, and that just pumps the fucking hatred and the racism, and I don't know. That's what I think happens.
I think I would describe what you like. There is an authoritarian is attracted to unaccountable power, and a police officer has a lot of power, and in a lot of jurisdictions, there's a variety of accountability.
They don't have as much as they think.
Yeah, and
he's still a human at the end of the day. Like,
absolutely, and I would point out that there are always going to be people that abuse authority, but we live in a country where we hear a lot of stories when the cops behave very badly. But if you go to Venezuela, do you think that they hear stories about the cops behaving badly? Go to China, do you think that they hear stories about the cops behaving badly?
It's starting to, thank God.
Maybe, but I would say that in America, we hear the most, per capita, we hear the most stories about the cops behaving badly because there is an accountability to power in the United States. And that is why we hear these stories.
Well, maybe so, but
it's a two-way street. If you live in a totalitarian government, under a totalitarian government, the cops never do anything wrong.
I don't know, man.
Or at least if they do, you don't hear about it, unless you're on the receiving end. And so there is an amplification of the bad behaviors because we have access to it, because we are allowed to know. But in China, they're not allowed to know when the police misbehave. In Venezuela, they're not allowed to know when the police misbehave.
Dude,
and more people out there saying the cops are bad are saying, let's be like Venezuela and China.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. People calling for communism, like people calling for communism, are just
the more
they're
free
just
your
uninformed.
Society is, the more free your society is, the more you hear about the legitimate abuses of power, or the I should say illegitimate.
They're free. They
Illegitimate
can literally say whatever they want. That doesn't mean it's true. Like communism's good. Yes, you have the freedom to say that. That doesn't mean it's true. I'm sorry. Communism's not good. I don't really want to talk about politics too much more, but
well, I think I made my point.
Yes, it's like if you're tweeting from your fucking daddy's iPhone that he bought you on his fucking phone plan, and
because
you're bitching about capitalism, like shut up.
Because he's a defense lawyer.
It's just.
And both of those things are good things to be.
I'll say one more thing about this point. So evolution. We've climbed as, Homo sapiens, whatever. We've climbed, and I think we've reached a point where we are so goddamn comfortable. The monkey brain that we still have is still looking for problems. Like we expect these problems because we've had them for millions of years. Like we're still looking for them. So that's what these people are doing. Instead of having a beer or smoking a joint or just writing music or doing a podcast, they're like, I need to find a problem. Something has to be wrong in my life. Yeah. I don't feel right if nothing's wrong.
Yeah,
that's good. That's a good
not
point.
Bad, actually.
It's a good quote. Nothing feels right, or whatever I said.
And there is a tendency.
Nothing feels right if something's not wrong.
And there's a tendency.
I have that too sometimes.
Absolutely, and there's been a tendency, I'd say, in a late stage republic, there's a tendency for the problem solvers, the people who legitimately faced the in the 60s, the civil rights inequalities. Okay, you go to war against inequality in the 60s. You get the voting rights. You get the you level the playing field to a certain extent, but it's never enough because now there's a culture that demands change, and so there will always be the goalpost will always progress in front of the crowd, the mob.
I think it will too. I mean, I don't totally agree with everything you just said, but I feel like nothing will ever be good enough. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
It reaches a point.
This happens, then. But what about this? What about this? It's like, I think, and honestly, this might be close to the end of the podcast, just because we don't have too much.
We actually kind of went to an organic.
We really did, but this needs to be a ringer for everyone. I think the fucking, history repeats itself every so or so decade, whatever. I think we need another hippie movement, and everyone realize love is love, and it's not about.
I can speak to that.
Yeah. Hold on, let me say one more thing. It's I don't think it's race versus race. I think it's rich versus poor. And I feel like the rich are trying to divide people. That's what I think.
So yeah, every 4 generations or so,
they're doing a good job at it too. I'm not.
So every four generations, there's a reset. That the fourth turning is the term, and I forget where that came from. But the hippie movement came from So what where you might desire another hippie movement, but what is going to happen, according to this theory of the fourth turning, is the crisis, the new crisis is upon us, and I think that it's being introduced with a lot of. I think that the COVID thing is an exaggeration of to create a crisis, but I think that it is playing a hand in truly creating an economic crisis and I predict it's going to be a small depression, but it might go on for 3 or 4 years just because of the abuse that the system has taken, the sledgehammer blow that it is taking.
Talk to him. I'll go to the bathroom.
It's that, well,
entertain him.
I was kind of at the end of that thought, but
I'll be right back.
But I have been interested a lot in what's been going on with the Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Giuffre and the way that is progressing. Virginia Giuffre, of course, has long been an accuser of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And of course, recently some documents came to light. They were redacted or unredacted. They were released anyway. And honestly, a lot of the information that was in those particular documents were things that I had read before, information that I had heard of before, and so I'm not exactly sure. That there was anything new released, but what was interesting is that there's now like sort of a new legitimacy given to the idea that Bill Clinton was a presence on the island.
We're not about to talk about it. Will you get me that beer out the freezer?
Yeah.
I do want to talk about maybe 2 more things with you. Let's be honest. How do you feel about masks?
Well, I feel 2 ways about it. I feel like it's okay if you want to comfort your friend, and
okay.
But I also, the other day I went to the gun range and everyone was wearing a mask, and that was the longest that I'd ever worn a face covering. And we were there maybe an hour and a half, but after I felt really unwell for like 20 hours. I just felt
from wearing a mask.
Well, there's a lot of
you're.
Well, there are things called latent viruses. Like your body, our body is actually composed to some percentage greater than 1%.
Bro, hold on.
Our body is composed of viruses.
You're gonna say, or I'm just making sure,
and that's by mass.
You're saying that you wearing a mask for an hour and a half made you sick.
Yeah, and it's really not difficult. I don't think that it would be difficult to reason your way through that. You're re-ingesting your own carbon dioxide that you've exhausted to a certain extent. Therefore you're absorbing less oxygen into your blood, and also after millions of years of evolution, we are extremely complex systems that are finely tuned to deal with an environment that is constantly trying to infect us. And so suddenly introducing
But what about the doctors that wear the masks 12 hours a day?
You mean in surgery and things? Well, that is...
Yeah, they're the same humans as us.
Of course. And there are similar issues with doctors wearing those masks. And the reason that they wear those masks is not to prevent viral infections. It's to prevent mass amounts of droplets going into an open wound. It's very different.
I'm aware of that.
It's very different from just passing someone on the sidewalk.
Yeah, but how
to say that they are the same thing. You mean, why did I feel sick?
How did you wear a mask? Dude, the fact that you say you wore a mask for an hour and a half.
Well, that is my experience. I mean, I suppose that I could have been mistaken.
I think that was all in your head, bro.
Or it could have been something else. Maybe I was just hungover. But
I would say that right now because you sound ridiculous.
that's fine. I guess you're denying my lived experience. It's kind of racist
I'm
of you.
not.
It's totally just like denying my like, Is it because I'm a man, or is it because I identify as a man? That I
all
think.
right. All right.
What's all?
I mean, all right. So you you wore a mask.
I didn't feel well.
I don't feel well, man, right now. All right, he's got a phone call.
Hey, I'm doing a podcast.
What's
what are you
up?
doing?
You're on Corey's Cave Chatter.
I know you're home. I saw you on the cameras.
Sorry, everybody.
Oh yeah, but it didn't stink, so it was cool.
Sorry, we had a random fucking.
Hey,
phone
I'm
call.
gonna be back soon. All right.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for calling us, Tony.
No, I'm glad she's back. I kind of missed her.
Yeah, she's cool as shit, man. She's cool.
She's been out of town 10 days.
All right. Anything you want to shout out before we end the podcast? You got a Patreon or?
I'm right about everything, and you're wrong.
That's fine. That's completely fine. Got a Patreon?
No, that was
or a
fun. I mean, I'm sure we could
Venmo?
talk about some other stuff, but who cares?
We can talk about other shit if you
The
want.
world is going to be okay,
I think so too.
and we're just going along for a ride. I think that I think Trump has a lot of reasonable concerns about voting by mail. Like,
Yeah, that is kind of sketchy. I mean,
isn't it transparent?
voting by mail, dude? Weren't
I got one.
Weren't
when
people getting caught like voting for dead people?
that does happen, and recently
That's
there
so
have been.
fucked up, dude.
There has
How much of a piece of shit do you have to be to run your political agenda so hard you have to fucking use a person's dead body in the ground to fucking vote for someone, dude?
Yeah, and of course, my
That's-
favorite joke on this is that
It's
my
fucking
grandmother
disgusting.
voted Republican her entire life, and then since she died in 2005, she's been voting Democrat. It's crazy.
Shit up. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean that is a common.
It's called
joke.
necro voting. I'm
Ooh.
coining that term.
Ooh, necro. Ooh,
Necro voters. That's
There.
my new fucking band name.
That's pretty good. So I think there are a lot of legitimate concerns, and there's also the primary in New York that happened 6 weeks ago, and they're still counting votes, and because of the mail-in voting. And it's like, if that isn't a model,
Dude,
like could Trump, with an executive order, forbid mail-in voting?
I don't know.
And of course, you have to differentiate between mail-in voting and absentee ballots, right? Which absentee ballots have long been used, and they
Jesus Christ.
they have a
Sorry.
higher standard of identification.
Check. Sorry, making sure I'm not yelling in this bitch. All right, good.
They have a higher standard of identification. But the mail-in voting, there are stories out there of a couple received a mail-in vote for their cat who had been dead for 10 years. So people get votes.
That's thirsty.
So people get mail-in ballots for people that are registered to the apartment that they're renting.
All right, so
And so these people may have been 2 or 3 tenants ago, but the mail-in ballots are delivered to the address. So there are tens and tens of millions in California alone, tens and tens of millions of people who have neglected to update their voter registration, but they are going to receive a mail-in vote at their last address. And I would bet that those people would be allowed to vote again in person at the polling place, and that both ballots would be counted.
with Samson the cat.
Right? Absolutely.
Samson the cat.
I have seen cats voting at the. It's a little. You got to help them with the machine, One of them
Jesus.
took a big dump right in the middle. That was embarrassing.
All
I had
right,
to
so
shut them.
what do you think about? I read maybe a bit of a news line about it. It was like Trump wanting to delay the election.
Well, I think that was a. I don't think that he has the power to do it. Although then again,
I don't think he does either. Man.
well, of course,
that'd be
but-
super sketchy.
do you remember a few years ago when DACA, right, was Obama even said, "I don't have the power to defer the deportation for people who were brought here as children. I don't have the power to do that." And then he lost the battle. They lost the battle in Congress. The bill failed to pass. And then Obama was like, "Well, I'm just going to do it by executive order." And then so Trump was like, "Okay, well, he failed to pass the law in Congress, and then he just did it by executive order. Well, I'm the president now. I'm going to undo it by executive order." And the Supreme Court said, "Well, while technically you have the power to do that, you didn't really go about it the right way, so you can't do it." And that was like 3 months ago.
No.
And so, right? It's obviously it's an insult, it's a slap in the face. It's like just a complete political.
It's just like a lame chess move, kind of.
Right. It's like, oh, I'm going to take it back. Right. Exactly.
Checkmate.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
come on, man.
The guy that like touches the piece. And then,
Not touching you.
I'd say it's
That's
worse than that. I'd say that it is.
It's annoying.
It is a power grab by the judiciary. Hey, that's been going on for 100 years. So anyway, that all happened. So even though that constitutionally the states control the vote in that state, and so even federal elections are under the auspices of the state. I mean, that is definitely very clearly spelled out in the Constitution, in the original Constitution, not like some obscure amendment. So, but then again, it's also in the body of the Constitution that habeas corpus, and Obama completely signed away habeas corpus. Like, well, we can just we can detain you forever without trial or even telling anyone that we have you. And Obama just signed that. I mean, it was George Bush was the first to violate habeas corpus, but then Barack Obama actually signed the legislation that pretended to make it legitimate. So,
Dude, it's all bad.
And then you have what's it called? Operative 51 or something. Whatever it is, it's signed by George W. Bush. It was passed by the Congress, and if the president declares that he wants to dissolve government and make it in his own image, that even though that is not possible under the Constitution, that's not possible under the Constitution, George Bush signed the law that is possible. That the president can make a declaration, essentially dissolve the government and redesign it in the image that he prefers. So, and it's no less legitimate than what Obama did several times.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's scary.
So
it means
all
that
right,
the
let's
predictions
just
might be true that Trump is the last president. That is, yeah.
I mean,
The tinfoil is real, my friends. The tinfoil.
He's crazy. For those of you that don't know, he's crazy. So would you
like
just
a fox.
agree that pretty much all the you're what are you fucking 49 and a half?
Yeah, I'll be 50 in 26.
Hey,
25
I got
years.
it right. I have friends. Fuck y'all, I have friends.
Yeah.
So you're
50
49
years
and a
old.
half.
I feel like I'm.
Most of the presidents in your life's time have been corrupt, right?
I mean, I think most presidents have been
exactly
fairly corrupt.
That's
But
what I'm
yeah,
trying to
since-
say.
I
So
would say since the assassination of Reagan, when the Bush Clinton cabal.
I'm
really
just saying.
took control.
I'm just trying to prove a point. Like Donald Trump is corrupt, probably.
Yeah, I'm
Most
sure.
likely, yeah.
I
I mean, he does these little things that people hate, whatever. But I'm talking about real corruption. He's most likely corrupt. So,
well, I mean, do you have any evidence, or does that matter?
it matters. It matters. But I'm just saying.
Because they looked for a lot of
Here,
corruption.
I'm agreeing against that. Listen, I'm saying every president has been corrupt. Why is there so much outrage for his corruption?
Oh, because the deep state is the result
That's your
of
answer?
decades of corruption.
Yeah.
And so when someone
I
comes
knew
in,
you wouldn't have a good answer for that one because that's a real good question.
I mean, you don't think that that's a good answer?
It's
Because I'm
it's
going
the
on
true
your premise.
answer.
I'm going
it's
on your
the true
premise.
answer.
Your premise was that there's been so much
It's
corruption
the
for
true
decades
answer.
that it would
But it
seem
doesn't
it would make
answer the
sense.
question for the people that are actually outraged against him. You know what I'm saying?
I disagree. The outrage is because they're covering their asses. Because they there's a lot of memes out there, and a lot of them are inaccurate. Like I saw a meme the other, or an illustration, a photograph, and it was like all these people were on Epstein's plane, and like I looked into it, and like 5 of them were not ever on Epstein's plane. There's no reason to.
You
think
looked
that they
into
were.
the flight records? Because I've seen the flight records.
Yeah, I looked at the flight records, and like a lot of those names, you can't. It's just a scratch, and then there's a lot of them you can. I mean, you can see President Bill Clinton written out.
Yeah,
But that never was to Epstein Island. That was to Asia and Paris and stuff. But it was never like down to Miami or
Yeah, it is kind of weird how everyone thinks if they see a flight log, it's to that island. That is kind of
well, no, you can look at the
disingenuous.
airport. You can look at the airport codes. I
Yeah,
mean, they're right
sometimes.
there.
Well, I've seen some flight logs that fucking cropped out the shit, and it's like that's disingenuous. If you're gonna post a flight log,
But
post
also
where
it's-
it's going from and going to.
Yeah, but also it's a limited hangout. Like if they want to mislead you, if they want to get you excited about how
I know how it
Clinton went
works,
down to
man.
the island all the time on the plane, and then you're like, and then one day somebody was like, well, actually, he was always flying somewhere else. And then you feel deflated, and you're like, you.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
So-
both sides are not on my side.
Yeah,
That's how
I don't
I
have a
feel
side.
in 2020. Both sides are not on my side.
I don't have a.
They're
side.
not on your side. Exactly. You don't have a side. They're both against us.
Now, but I think that mail-in voting is a very transparent attempt to just muddy the water and cause fighting in the streets.
It's just a mess. It's like if I made a Tinder profile and I put what I like and what I do and I swipe right on everyone. I'm not for any of y'all. Y'all are for what I'm doing. Y'all are gonna read the bio, read my, like if we translate this to policy.
What's Tinder?
Or politics, you can read my policies. And you're gonna be like, oh, yes or no.
I know what
But
Tinder is.
I'm not for any of it. It was a weird analogy. I know.
Yeah, it's.
It was
I
a weird
didn't quite
analogy,
follow,
but-
but I think I might know what you must have.
It's fine. Yeah.
I think we lost everybody right then. High
No,
five.
there's some people that feel.
High five. That was decent.
So I've had this bleach stain on my shirt. It looks like nut. It's looked like nut the whole time. Just want to clarify.
Oh, that would be a weird place.
Yeah, it's been on there for fucking 6 years now.
That happened at the Phoenix.
It happened at the Clorox bleach station at the washer.
Yeah, I don't think the Phoenix has been open for a while.
What the fuck is the Phoenix?
That's where you go for that sort of thing.
Oh, is that a New Orleans type?
It's like a biker,
Like a gay
biker.
bar?
Yeah, it's so a friend of mine owns the Always Lounge. It's like it's like a block away.
Oh, I played a show at the Always.
Yeah, the
before.
Always Lounge is not that kind of place. But the Phoenix.
They do
is
a lot of
definitely-
drag shows,
The Phoenix is definitely a place for anonymous man-on-man
bro. So
in non-COVID times.
when I played at Always Lounge, the show after us was the Cat Circus. It was
Yeah.
an enormous fucking like a fucking
That's a great show.
charter
What do they call it?
bus.
The
No, it was like a charter bus, dude. And they pulled up like right after we were packing all our shit.
it's like the Cat Attack or
It's
something.
like, what
It's
are
the cat-
y'all doing? They're like, oh, we're like playing after y'all. We're the fucking Cat Circus. And they
Yeah,
fucking
I saw it
started
like 10
running.
years ago, and I mean, it's actually a little bit. It's exactly what you would expect. Like,
Bizarre.
yeah, but
It's gotta be bizarre.
yeah, it's.
What else would that shit
There were a
be?
lot of women, a lot of single women over
with
40.
red wine, crying. Ah! I wish my cat could do this.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, you're
the
probably
cat-
not right.
Yeah, it is.
Or you probably are right. Grab me that other beer out the freezer. If
All
you
right.
would, good sir. Please.
I'm just pretty confident we lost whatever. There is no more beer.
There's one in that fucking...
Nope.
I drank them all?
Wasn't me.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Alright, guess I fucking drank them all. Time to end the podcast.
Man, if anybody's still here this long, drop a like, because you like us.
Drop a like. Subscribe. Do you have Patreon or fucking...
James T _Martin on Instagram.
James
but
T
it kinda
_
sucks.
Martin. Nah, he's cool, man. He's cool.
It's just I haven't put that much effort into it.
He hasn't. He hadn't been doing shit. I've been doing all the work around here. Mowing the yard. Hanging out with
I mowed
retards.
my own yard today.
He mowed his own retard. I mean, not his own. Sorry. His own yard. Jesus Christ. That whiskey got me. Alright, so...
Whiskey's bad.
This guy came over and did the podcast. So thank y'all very much. I'm pretty drunk now. We're going to go on the porch and talk about the next podcast. So
Oh,
until next time,
they're gonna, yeah.
we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Boom.
Y'all be good.